All right. I'm super excited and honored to have Stephen Eugene Kuhn here on the Move Happy Movement podcast and vlog. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
Hey, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I always love to share with my audience, how I connect with people, and we connected on LinkedIn and just kind of started from there. For those that don't know you, decorated veteran, U.S. Army, you've got a background in business. Let's talk a little bit more of your beginnings.
My beginnings.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit before all that, and then we'll get to that.
Okay, how far back? How far back do you want to
go? How are you as a little boy?
Okay. Yeah, I was a little boy, huh? Well, I have a twin brother, and I had a 1 year older sister. And so it was always 2 against 1, either me and her against him or her and I, whatever. It was always, sort of competition was fierce. And we grew up in a household where we moved every 3 years due to changing partners of the parent. And, I just wanted to get out. So from 8 years old, I said, I want to go to the military.
Wow.
And, wanted to go to the Navy, and studied Navy stuff. And I knew everything about the Navy. And then I went to pre-Navy courses and all kinds of stuff. And then I went and joined the Army.
How did that happen?
It was out of spite, because I went to the recruiter station to sign up. And the Navy guy left me sitting there for like 2 hours. And the Army guy kept walking by in his dress blues and was like, you're gonna be waiting forever. You join the Navy. You want to join the Army, take some action. Come on. And I was like, I've been waiting 2 hours. I'm going to join the Army. So I went and joined the Army.
Wow.
Yeah. Even back then I was following my intuition. So I guess I was on the right path, but no. And then, I wasn't I was very well known in high school, but I wasn't popular.
Yeah. You were well known for good reasons.
And no, I was in trouble all the time. I was in trouble fighting and skipping school like for 6 weeks straight and things like that, just like crazy stuff. And I wasn't very self-assured, had no self-confidence, didn't like myself, basically loathed myself. And then when I joined the Army, I remember consciously saying, I'll never change unless I leave this place. And so went to the Army. Went to boot camp, and they were cutting my hair with the razor. I was like, this is the new me from here on out, only the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I changed on the spot, basically, because there was nothing that I knew. It was brand new, so I could change anything, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I did. And, I excelled in the military, above average, and stuck around for about 7 years, a little bit over 7 years. Went to Iraq as well. So I was stationed in Germany the whole time. After Iraq, I came back to Germany, or went back to Germany, and got what they call a European out, and stayed. And got into the nightclub scene and the bar scene, and opened my own bars, my own nightclubs, or partnerships. And was security guard. I did some bodyguarding jobs, as you do in the military when you get out.
Yeah.
Sold insurance, worked at the airport, you name it, I did it.
Wow.
Just long. I had like 3 jobs at one time for the first 2 years, just to get my head above water, because I left the Army with nothing. And I was in a foreign country, and it was tough to get a good paying job, but that changed really quick. And that's because something that I focused on. And something I wasn't doing it on purpose. I think I was just doing it because I like to have fun. Is that I had the guests in the bar and clubs, and I would always be above and beyond as far as service goes. And I'd stand on the bar and sing, and I was like always trying to hook people up. And and one guy said to me, he said, "Hey, you want to help me bring a listed, also a PLC, a publicly listed company from South Africa, their business? You want to bring it to Germany?" And I was like, you realize I'm a bartender, right? And a veteran. Like, that's pretty much my qualifications, right? And I was like 30 years old, or 31 maybe. And he's like, no, you're the right guy. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we did it. And I remember I got my first paycheck. I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I saw after taxes, I said, wow, that's nothing. Because in Germany, it's like 50% tax after all deductions, like 50%. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, all right, we'll do this. So we did that. I crushed it, opened up 7 units in Germany. Then I got headhunted from a British PLC. And then they ended up quadrupling or tripling or quadrupling my pay. And I was making like well into the mid 5 figures a month. And here I am 3 or 4 years after getting out of the Army going, what the hell's going on? Why am I doing this? And I remember telling the guy too, I'm like, look, I don't know how to do any of this stuff, because they made me the European Director of Operations and Development.
Yeah.
Right. 87 locations, 3,500 employees, the whole works. And I was like, I can do it. Like, I can try, but I've never done this. He's like, just shut up and do it. He said,
I
shut up
love
and do it.
that.
He said, I see it in you. And that was when it hit me. Like when someone sees something in you, embrace that and just go
Yes.
for it. Because
Yes.
it's there. If they see it, it's there. It's not, they're not just going to come out of the blue and say, hey, I see that you can do this. No, they're going to feel it, see it, smell it, taste it, whatever. And so I embrace them like, all right, if he thinks I can do it, then I better do it. Then of course that military mindset sets in and says, okay, I got to be the best. I got to crush it. And I did.
Yes.
And ended up working for them on and off, self-employed for 15 years on and off, in between the other stints of, I worked for, Mick Jagger a little bit,
Cool.
worked for Andrea Bocelli, the tenor, the Italian tenor. Worked for Olivia Newton-John for a while as well, European Parliament, German Parliament, Croatian Parliament, spoke there, worked there, trained people, that kind of stuff. And it was always interpersonal. Right. So it was never like, hey, let's open whatever. So it was always interpersonal within the businesses, within the organizations. And so I did a lot of turnaround, mostly is what I did. And that all meant that I had to go in and turn the business around. And you turn a business around, contrary to popular belief, through the culture, right? Structure and everything you can change immediately, but culture takes time. And the way that I worked seemed to really hit a nerve with a lot of corporations. So I was pretty successful doing that. And that led me to working in 9 countries and, living in more cities as well, like crazy amounts of cities, and meeting the top people in the world and royals and politicians, and even was a co-founder of a political organization, which is 15 years old and now a political party in Germany. So all the way to the top there. It's just all these crazy stuff that I had no business doing. And that's because of that one CEO said to me, he said, I see it in you. Just shut up and do it. And that always told me, well, if that person trusts me, I literally was sitting with 2 politicians from the German party and an ex, let's say, top person from a certain country, right? So the ex, whatever. And it was the debt ceiling problem when Obama was in office. And they said, well, Stephen, what do you think is going to happen? And I was like, I don't fucking know. I'm talking about, I was like, what the hell I'm talking about. But then I thought, wait a second. If he thinks I have the answer, then obviously I have the answer. So I just said, all right, let me think. I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to gain. I was going to say what I think. And I did. And like 2 months later, they came back to me like, how did you know that exactly what you said would happen? And I was like, yeah, I didn't. It was just my opinion. They're like, no, you have to know. No one gets it that right. And so then they started thinking I was working for the agency or something. I was like, oh, God, no, I'm just, yeah, seriously, it got to be that bad. And then they actually like kicked me out of the organization for about 6 weeks until they did an investigation to find out that I wasn't in the agency. I was like, Jesus, with my mouth, no way. So yeah, interesting times.
I love that. No, I think that's really powerful. Talking about that one person that saw that thing within you. That's how this whole Move Happy thing started. It was one of my patients, retired U.S. Marine, corporate, high-level corporate executive in the securities industry. He was in charge of like 200 staff, but he was a patient in a locked psychiatric hospital that I was working in because he lost his wife to cancer and he was grieving and whatnot. And he was a part of my program, first round and third round, we ran it. And I earned this promotion that my boss was like, no one in 30 years has ever been interviewed for this without a state license. I don't want to hold you back from this, but just letting you know, like, real talk here. And I ended up getting the promotion. And then of course, budget cuts happened and I lost it because they had to shut down an entire extra hall and whatnot. And he pulled me aside and he knew what was going on because he was very, he paid attention to everybody and, listened to everybody. And he's like, Erin, I'm a no bullshit kind of person. I've seen this program. I've seen you progress with it. I've seen you get the feedback from patients and actually implement it and modify it and make it better. You need to keep sharing this outside. This is so much bigger than this hospital. You will be speaking on TV one day and you will be, doing all these things. And, that was 5-6 years ago. And now it's like, wow, I got featured last year on Good Morning America through Team Gary Vee. And it's like, what? Like you just keep going. You listen. It's those people in our lives that can really influence us to change our behavior.
It's
really,
so cool you had a similar experience.
Yeah, very cool. I was just like, oh, goosebumps. That's really what it's about, I believe. So let's go on, let's talk some more. So definitely that had an influence, that social aspect, that mentor of yours or that random person that just saw something within you.
Yeah, random person. Well, he was a mentor, he still is to a degree. But he was the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
And then after that, of course, things happen, and then I got moved over to the joint venture between America and the UK.
Yeah.
And then they shut that company down, and I lost the position, and I couldn't go back to where I was before because I was already at a higher position, this kind of stuff. So I left there, and then had sort of a breakdown kind of issue, and wife left me and lost all my money, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book. I was like, what am I going to do now? I want to write a book. So I wrote a book, and it was a bestseller. It was in German. It was about the first Gulf War, and it came out the day the second Gulf War started. So, and the day the second Gulf War started, boom, my newspaper article was in there on the second page, on the third page of the newspaper, the Berliner newspaper in Germany. And that put me on TV for a year, every day, at least 3 different channels, every single day for a year. Yeah. And that changed everything as well. Right. But people always say, they're like, why didn't you make something out of that? Because I was like a VJ on MTV, a guest VJ on MTV. I was a guest anchor on the news. Like I was the only combat veteran who spoke almost perfect German. So for the Germans, are like, get Steven, get Steven, get Steven, get Steven. Get him in, because I can articulate in German. And people are like, why didn't you make anything of that? I said, I did. That was what it was, and it ran its course. And I'm not here to do one thing. I'm here to do gather as much experience as possible, so that I can help others, reach their collapse time, reach their goals, shift their paradigms, things like that. And that's what we do now. So we have the Humble Alpha Paradigm Upgrade Advisory Program. And we work with high-level clients and entrepreneurs and those who are shifting and want to see that, the world's changing, and I need to either change with it, or I'm going to be stuck. I'm going to be stuck in the past.
Absolutely. That is so cool. And it's another crazy connection too. I went through a divorce too, and then was like, well, what am I going to do with this whole year? And wrote a book myself. So
no way. That's hilarious. Wow. That's why you laughed. I was like, okay, there must be a story there.
There must be a story. Yeah.
All right. So then we'll keep going. All right. Because after that, I got back into it again. And I remember I was talking to a woman, and she said, look, you just lost your job. Everything's changed right now. Everything's gone. You have 2 choices. You're going to go the path you were before, but there's a door out there just waiting for you to open it. Yeah. You're going to take that door and go a different path, or you're going to go back to the same path. And I couldn't find the door, so I'm back to the same path again. Right. Yep. And then what was it? 6 years later, 5 years later, I crashed and burned big time, like homeless, like in the streets, attempted suicide, was sent away or whisked away into a monastery with monks in Austria. Wow. To live, to recover, and sort of like figure out who I am and what I am. And that changed my life, of course, because when you're living with monks, you have no phone, no laptop, no TV, no outside anything. Yeah. Just monks who don't want to talk to you. You're by yourself, man, like really by yourself. And you start understanding who you are and seeing who you are. There's no distractions. You have to deal with it. You have to acknowledge it. You have to embrace it, love it, accept it. And that's when I learned that if I looked at all my relationships, whether it was family or my ex-wife or whoever, I always realized at that point that to the degree that I loved, accepted, and embraced myself was the degree that I would allow others to love and accept and embrace me.
So true.
So you push them back, like you like, once it gets too close, you sabotage it on purpose because you couldn't get past your own limitations. And that taught me a whole bunch about relationships. So when I met my wife now, 13 years ago, I had all of that worked out. And I had just come out of the monastery. It was maybe 2 or 3 months later, I got an offer from that company again, the same company that burned me out 3 times. Wow. And I said, no, not going to do it. And they said, look, it's a 3-month gig and it's in Budapest. And something said, go. Right. And I was like, all right, I want triple the money. I want you to pay for everything. I want an apartment. I want flights and food and everything. They're like, okay. I'm like, okay. Yeah, seriously. So,
more now.
And I was like, oh, I should have. Yeah. Story of my life. Right. And, and I went down to Budapest, or I came to Budapest because I'm in Hungary right now. Walked in the front door of the business that I was going to take over for 3 months and turn it around. The first person I saw was this beautiful woman. And I said, wow, that's my wife. I knew it. Yeah. I knew she was my wife. And 3 months later, it took me 3 months to get her to also see it that way. At least maybe.
Persistence is key.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we ended up getting married like 2.5, 3 years later. And I've been stationed here ever since, so to say. She's got 2 kids. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's at first it was a challenge living in Hungary because I still under that old paradigm where I got to travel, got to do this, got to do that.
Yeah.
And then 4 years ago, I just said, no, I'm not traveling anymore. I'm staying home with my family. Which now my wife's like, don't you have to like travel to do like, because I'm home.
So I can have my like,
I'm home all the time, man, all the time. Like even the neighbors are like, what do? You never leave except to go to the gym, you know? Because we live out in the country in a small village. Everyone knows who I am because I'm like the only American here, wide and bright. And so yeah, it's an interesting life that I lead, out to say that at a bare minimum.
That's so neat. That's so neat. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on currently. What are you excited about? I know you had messaged me about it.
Yeah. Well, based on our book, Unleash Your Humble Alpha, right? So this book, Lane Balone and myself, he's also a veteran, wrote it and brought it out, and it was within 3 months turned into a university curriculum for Forbes School of Business and Technology, which
Love that.
I know we were like, whoa, we're academics, dude. We're academics.
Totally like, an academics.
I hope no one checks on us, you know. And and
I love the title, by the way. It's such a cool title.
Thank you. Oh, there's a whole story about all that. You know, we do plant medicine journeys. So Lane and myself, we do plant medicine journeys to Peru. I've been doing plant medicine, working with plant medicine for 16 years.
Nice.
And we do a journey every year to Peru. And he came to one of the journeys. First time, that's where I met him. And, you know, we just came up with a name. We came up with a business. And we've been working together ever since.
Cool.
But what we're doing now, the Humble Alpha, and of course we're veterans. And we have a veteran group on Facebook called Vetpreneur Tribe. It's the largest group on Facebook for veteran entrepreneurs. Cool. And we said, how can we bring Humble Alpha and Vetpreneur Tribe together? Yeah. Right. So the principles, the operating system, we call it the Humble Alpha operating system. There's five principles in there or 5 models that you live by that will guarantee a life of purpose, certainty, and amplifying your presence wherever you go. A humble presence. And so we were in Peru, and we did some working with San Pedro, which is a cactus, the masculine. And I was like, one of my intentions was to find a way to bring Humble Alpha and a veteran space, veteran empowerment together. Yeah. And it came to me. Right? Humble Alpha veteran empowerment. You can have it all. And long story short, that's turned into a movement. There's have missions where it's like an open source movement where anyone can come underneath, come together, bring the organization underneath there and just fly the flag of have. So it's recognizable as what it is. It's for military veterans, military, and those who support. They don't have to be family members, anyone who supports veterans, because a lot of people out there that couldn't serve, that wish they could have, and support in other ways. And now we're doing our second event in Houston, Texas, on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 6th is for women only, and that's being ran by She Talks, the organization She Talks, Julie Duchamp, and she's been doing this for years. And then the 7th and 8th are the have days. And 7th is with Mark Rockefeller Street Shares Foundation and Sam Adams Beer Brewing the American Dream. Nice. The $80,000 entrepreneur giveaway. So it's a pitch contest. They did it online. Cool. Yeah. Yesterday, the 17 finalists were chosen, and then from the 17, there'll be 3 who will go to Houston with us, and will be judged on stage and pitched and that kind of stuff. And there's six speed coaching sessions of 20 minutes each with top coaches. We have like Ron Lynch, who's on 4.2 billion in direct sales. He's an absolute marketing guru. We have a bunch of people, Joshua B. Lee from Standout Authority, and like really, really high level people who you would otherwise never get a coaching session with. Yeah. And cool. So that's that. And we have 2 keynote speeches, and we have dinner that night, a concert with a famous country singer is there as well. And the next day is the Veteran Healing Symposium. Now the Veteran Healing Symposium is free, and that's for anyone who seeks healing and who has been through healing. And we've invited practitioners and those who have been healed or on the healing process. So things like ketamine, sound work, sound healing, breath work, immersion, plant medicine, that's like ketamine, MDMA, all these different modalities of healing. That's going to be an exciting day. Yeah. So those 3 days together, very female, business oriented, healing oriented. And that's what Humble Alpha is all about. It's about the baseline, right? It's about finding out your truth and being as authentic as possible and true to yourself, so that your identity of who you really are, not what you do,
Yeah.
who you really are is amplified. And that's where authenticity comes from.
Love that. So how can people sign up for it?
Well, there's a link. If I had to read it, it would probably take too long. But if we can
Okay.
maybe post it in the details. Okay, great. You can go to humblealpha.com,
Okay.
and it should be listed there. As a matter of fact, it is listed there. The
Cool.
HAVE event, HAVE event.
Cool.
They can check that out. Anyone who's interested in the Paradigm Upgrade Advisory Program, we do have a group program and we have a one-on-one program where it's myself and Lane and the one client. Very successful. You go to the website as well and look under advisory. You'll see testimonials at the bottom of business leaders, business owners who have completely changed their lives. And it's a 3-month program. It's 12 hours, 1 hour a week for 3 months. But the shift that you go through is epic, put it that way.
Love that. Awesome. And if they want to connect with you, is LinkedIn the best one for them?
Yes, LinkedIn is great. Eugene Kuhn. Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, everybody needs to sign up for that. And Houston, you said, is where the event is, right?
Houston, that's right. Houston.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
get to go
I
back
want
to
to go. You convinced me.
Yeah, do it. Bring it. You know, it's something that we want to do, that we did in 2019, and we couldn't do it last year, of course. And so now we're doing it this year and next year as well. We're already starting to plan that one. And plus on the 5th, I'm in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, at a Grow Your Business for God's Sake event with Glenn Lundy, if you know who he is, from Breakfast of Champions. It's a big media network.
Yeah.
So I'm flying from there straight down to Houston, and we're going to take over from there. Yeah. And then, speaking of veteran healing, on the 9th, I have an appointment with a specific chiropractor in Houston who's like this guru. And this is synchronicity, because I have a friend in the UK who I work with in the M&A field, mergers and acquisitions. And he said, dude, check this video out. Right. So I'm looking at this video, and it's this guy doing all this special stuff on veterans. I was like, oh man, let that guy be in Houston. Went to his website, Houston. I was like, yes. Yeah. You know, I mean, of all the places he could have been, right?
Yeah. That's awesome. Love that. Super cool. All right, cool. Well, I love to close the show out always with like, you know, some silly question on the spot, impromptu, based on the responses and whatnot. So super silly question, but when you are out traveling, what's like your go-to favorite like restaurant, if you have like a favorite restaurant in all the places you've traveled to?
Oh, okay. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but actually, when I travel, I don't go to restaurants.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I will go to the store. I will get a pack of cooked ham, pickles, a pack of cheese, and some mustard. And I will put the pickle, or the ham, the cheese, the pickle, roll it up in mustard, and then eat it like that.
There you go. All right.
And that's because I'm 54. I'm very specific about my diet, very specific about my fitness. I'm in excellent shape. Probably the best shape I've ever been at my age. I mean, even at my age. So no, I typically don't go out. I try not to eat carbs on the go. I only try to eat, and I don't eat airplane food unless I absolutely have to. It's not, and you know, for me, it's always about I have this concept that I've always done, is that where I am is where I am. Nothing else exists.
Yeah.
Right. So always living wholly and fully in the moment of wherever I am. So for me, it's about the people. It's less about, oh, look at the Big Ben, or the food, or the culinary. It's always about the people.
Yeah. I love it.
It's annoying sometimes for my wife, because I keep forgetting to call her, because I literally show up in Berlin. I was there last week. I show up and I'm in Berlin, man. Like nothing else exists. You know, that's why I can't understand how I could never be married in the military and be deployed to Iraq or somewhere. I would go crazy. I don't know how they did that. Yeah, crazy. I mean, I was in Iraq, but I was single, so I was okay. I don't know what the heck you do. You're bringing all this stuff out of me. It's crazy.
People do tell me that. We'll make sure your wife doesn't have the link to this. I'm just kidding.
No, that's fine. We're 100% transparent. 100% transparent.
She's actually in the back. No.
Yeah, right. She's picking me right now. And no.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Super excited. Yeah. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Erin.